welcome.
Welcome. Yes, thank you.
It's
not me welcoming you.
Yes. It's like it's your office, but it's my video.
Really?
Oh
it's
no. Why? Hello everyone. I'm at BKC International House Moscow today, and I'll be talking with Heather Belgorodtseva, the employee of this organization, and she's going to be a speaker at BKC IH conference in February in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to ask her some questions about life of a teacher at BKC and about her talk at the conference. You started at BKC in 1998 as a teacher, and now you work for the teacher training department, right? So this is a career for a teacher. Like, I'm really the career path, one of the many, possible here. So could you tell us a little bit how you feel, like how does it feel to work for BKC? How do you actually map out your career? Where do you start, what you do, and I don't know, some inside information.
Inside information, yes. Well, as you say, I came in 98, and at that point I was new. I was a new teacher. I just finished, the equivalent to CELTA. I did the Trinity certificate. But so I came, and I was a teacher for a few years, and that was great. But one of the nice things about BKC is it's very big. And so there's plenty of opportunity. There's always been different roles for academic management people. There's been different types of teaching available, and that suits me because I quite like variety. And and they've always been very keen actually to promote from within the company. So that's what happened really, is that I was teaching for a few years and I stayed. And my husband's Russian. He wasn't Russian. I mean, he's always been Russian.
He wasn't Russian. Interesting.
He wasn't Russian then. He wasn't my husband then, but we'd met, and so it looked as though I suppose I was going to stick around for a while. So they invited me to try one of their academic management roles, and I worked in a couple of different positions at that point. I think I was in charge of a school in one of the sort of more suburban areas, and it was a sort of children's specialist school. But then I moved back into the centre, and I was working for one of the places where all the teachers came to plan their lessons, so that was a lot more involved with them. And then I took on a role where I was travelling around, because BKC has always had, and at that point also had, lots of different schools scattered around, and so at that point myself and Irina Grekova, actually, who's also on the conference, we were basically travelling around and supporting the teachers in all these different schools. Now they've got even more roles. So they have specialist support staff who support people teaching exam classes, and for younger learners, and for in company and business, and so on and so forth. So that's what I did then. But the one thing they didn't do was teacher training. And after I'd finished my Delta, I thought that might be something interesting to do. So, there were other reasons to move back to the UK, but one of the things that I wanted to do was become a teacher trainer, and so I had to move at that point.
So you became a teacher trainer back in the UK, and then you did your Trinity course in the UK, and then you came to work here. You went back to become a teacher trainer. You came here, and you were like one of the first people working for the newly created teacher training department.
No, it was definitely no. I only came back about 5 years ago, so I was in the UK for about 10 years. And in that time, in the 10 years that I was away, the teacher training department grew from I think it was one person, but she was more involved in working with academic management staff and sort of other things, and suddenly it took off to the fairly large teacher training department you see today, where people are running lots of different workshops for staff internally, but also a fairly wide range of different courses, so Delta preparation courses in between that, specialist courses. We have a long list. And at that point I'd been doing a lot of CELTA courses in the UK and teaching as well, and it looked quite interesting, this range of courses that they were running. So I was quite happy to come back and expand my range of teacher training experience.
But now, to become a teacher trainer, the teachers don't need to go to the UK, right? You can do it here, yeah? So how do you become a teacher trainer?
Well, I mean, you can become all of our ADOSs are involved in teacher training because they all run workshops and so on, and they're all involved in almost the programs that we have for our teachers. But to become a teacher trainer for CELTA, for example, you need the Delta.
Full Delta.
The full Delta, the full Delta, because it does involve course design, so that's module 3, and so you need the full Delta, and I actually had the Delta. I did the Delta here, so they must have run a teacher, but I remember that they imported a couple of teacher trainers from outside. It wasn't in-house training, so they did do the Delta at that point, but they didn't do anything else. So so I did the Delta here, but so you need the Delta. But to become a CELTA trainer, they're looking for people who also have experience in supporting teachers, both in terms of running workshops and things like that, but also working with teachers, observing their lessons, giving them feedback, which again is a big part of academic management. So most CELTA trainers, teacher trainers, have worked in academic management before they become CELTA trainers, and for a lot of people actually CELTA training is a sort of sideline. So they're academic managers first, who sometimes do CELTA courses, and some of our CELTA tutors are of that type. Whereas I work full time in the department, but so that's it. But you need to find a CELTA centre that's going to train you up, and basically not just train you up but keep you, because you also need to do a certain number of courses with that centre after they've trained you, and so really it's a sort of apprenticeship that you do.
So how long does it take?
Well, you can get trained in a month. It depends a little bit on how experienced you are, but you can get trained in a month if you're reasonably experienced and ready to go. And then after that, I think it's 4 courses that you have to do with that same centre before Cambridge agrees that you are now a sort of independent entity and can either work for there or for wherever you'd like to work for, basically.
Right, I see. Thanks.
So it's quite a big commitment from the centre. So they're likely to be training up people who work for them, or they can see will continue working for them for some time. Yeah,
I see. Okay, thank you. So you're a teacher trainer, so you know everything about CPD, right? Yes. So, but my question is, does it ever stop? Of course it's continued, but
no. Well, not for me, not so far. No.
So how much CPD do you teach? Like, this is my top question number 1. How much CPD do teachers need? What do you think? Like each year?
And
like, when do they have to stop? Like, enough CPD for you, or
well, I haven't stopped. No, well, actually, it's somebody on a course that I was running had a particularly good way of phrasing CPD. Is that basically she was saying that what she did was she would do a course, do some serious burst of CPD, and that would keep her going for a while, and she'd be spending some time after that trying to put into practice all of the ideas and the tricks and the sort of things that she needed more time to think about in the experimenting, and basically when she felt that she'd sort of run out of new material from that course, she did another course.
When she was bored. When she was bored.
I'm trying not to say that, but basically when she got a bit bored again, or felt that she'd really run out of steam a bit, then she'd do another course. I mean, CPD doesn't have to be a course. One long course. It could be attending seminars regularly, attending sort of conferences regularly, that kind of thing. But I often think that that's a reasonable way to look at it. Actually, is that when you feel yourself doing the same thing, and you think to yourself, is there another way to do this? Or gosh, is it Monday or Tuesday? It must be Wednesday because I'm doing X kind of thing. Then perhaps it might be time to try something else.
Right. Thank you. Do you teach, or you just teach teachers?
Oh yeah, at the moment, and this is the downside of being employed by the teacher training department, is I don't actually have any classes. I do teach a language and methodology course, which is a combined lessons with discussion of the methodology. So that is actually proper teaching, but nevertheless, I don't have my own group to play with, and honestly, I do miss it. And that's why, in my experience, people leave full-time teacher training after a while because they want to get back to teaching. Because otherwise, what was the point? Although other people manage to combine it a bit, but I haven't managed that at the moment.
Right, I see. Yeah, and usually, I mean, you forget quite quickly things that you do or some tricks or because teacher training is like a different job, completely different job.
It is a bit, although I mean a lot of it's just teaching different subjects.
Different.
But no, you miss teaching. It was nice actually, because just before I came back to Russia, I had spent some time almost only teaching. I hadn't done some teacher training for a while, and so I felt nice and topped up at that point. And ready to go back to teacher training again, but I could probably do with finding myself some students, some real students.
Give me a student.
Exactly.
Yes,
because I've got lots of new ideas that I can't actually try out on people.
Oh, that's the saddest thing ever. I see. So my next question was actually, I'm not sure if it's relevant. I know it can be relevant about teacher training as well, because as a teacher trainer, you also need to learn stuff and improve your teacher training skills then. So is there any area or any skill you're working on right now? Well, actually, it's
something
you want to learn.
It's to do with teaching actually, but it's to do with teacher training too. I like to plan. I like to have my lessons all structured, and I like to know how things flow on.
That's CELTA. I remember the feedback. Anita, your lesson plans are not detailed enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't like to write them down, but I like to have a nice, well-constructed lesson and a well-constructed seminar, which, one hopes you will see if you come to the conference.
Promotion.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Come.
A nicely well-structured seminar. However, obviously, you have to mediate that with, teaching the people in front of you and being more spontaneous. And so, in general, that's the thing I really want to work on. It's always my thing to work on.
I see. So, like
emergent language we're talking here, really. If we're talking about students, it's emergent language. I'm actually probably a bit better at it in teacher training. Because
you have more practice there.
Lately,
basically.
Exactly.
It's hard to practice without practice.
So I'm slightly better at actually running with what's happening in the classroom in teacher training than I mean, hopefully I can do it with students as well, but I think that's the thing that I would like to work on most.
Right, I see. Okay, have fun. Good luck.
Indeed.
So your talk is going to be about error correction. Why?
Well,
is there? I mean, why do you like it?
I'll be honest. I think I was reading something interesting about error correction, and I thought, ooh, that's interesting.
And that's the same. You had to apply, as a speaker.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. But I thought about
such a coincidence.
Exactly. Well, no, I mean, because obviously part of my CPD is trying to keep up with research and reading and trying to keep a couple of steps ahead of everybody I'm training. So so every now and again I read something while I'm doing some of my own research, and I think, that's interesting, and I turn it into a webinar or a seminar or whatever. So that's what happened with this. I thought, that's interesting.
I see.
And
I see.
here we are.
So you're quite spontaneous.
Yes.
Right.
Well, sometimes.
I mean, I'm not going to ask you to repeat the whole talk. You will have to come to see it.
Indeed.
But I mean, you know quite a lot about error correction anyway, and you're not going to put it all in one talk. I guess it's going to be a very long one.
Yes.
So is there, like, as a teacher trainer, you observe lots of teachers. So do you think it's like there one thing, like, basically all teachers should change in our error correction?
It's a little bit controversial actually, but when to get back to when I was an academic manager, one of the things that we used to get complaints about, because sometimes students do complain, was that my teacher doesn't correct me enough.
Oh yes, they do that.
They do that.
Yes.
They do that.
They
Yes.
hate
And
being
you see,
corrected.
sometimes they're kind of right, and so obviously sometimes you've got to be careful not to overcorrect and not to correct in the wrong places of the lesson. But there are actually times when we should be correcting, and there are times when we should be correcting. I want to say the word aggressively, but I don't mean aggressively. Proactively.
Meticulously.
Meticulous. Thank you. Meticulously. Yeah, much better word. Yes, meticulously. And consistently. And I think that's what my talk's about, is how to do that, basically. How to be consistent, how to be meticulous, how to correct the right things, but which doesn't mean backing off from error correction at all, basically.
Right. Sounds intriguing.
Sounds scary. Yes.
Sounds scary and intriguing.
I told somebody my theory once, and they were a bit like, but fluency is important too. And yes, fluency is definitely important, and you shouldn't be interrupting people and just correcting everything they say, for sure. No. But there is a time for correction, and when you do it, it should be done. Thoroughly.
Really.
And consistently. So my talk is about consistency.
Consistency
of
in
error
error
correction.
correction. I see. It's not like I correct here, I correct there. Yeah. So tomorrow I don't correct anything. So you're about like mapping
It's
it
about
out,
how to get
planning.
consistency in it.
Okay, because you're good at planning and consistency, right?
I have a structure for this.
You have a structure, so you.
I have guidelines.
Yeah, he has guidelines.
Oh yes.
Okay. Perfect.
I have a plan.
You have a plan. It's nice when speaker has a plan 2 weeks before the conference.
Well, no, I mean I have a plan for conference attendees to take away.
To take away.
That's the point.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think I've run out of questions for now.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again for having me on your interview.
And see you very soon.
Super.
Bye.